Good evening. Hello. Welcome to another Photography Locked Down. Thank you all very, very much for coming. So it's good evening here, it's good afternoon, it's something else, somewhere else. And yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for all the questions you've been posting along the way in the Facebook group. Thank you for all the questions about the courses. I just want to say something about that. Thank you very much to everybody who has given feedback and helped people who are thinking of doing it. And you guys who are thinking it might be a good idea to do one of the courses, I would just say to you, don't wait. Because life is going to get in the way when lockdown ends. Trust me, the cat will need to go to the vet, one of the children will fall over, something will happen, you know, the dog needs stroking. This is a really great time to do it. You've seen all the cool stuff that people are doing just in their own homes at the moment. So you can practice there. And of course, it's maybe a 5-week or 7-week or whatever week course it is, but it doesn't go away. You've got that forever. Once you bought it, once you're in there, you've got it forever. And I'll give you a 100% money back guarantee if you don't think it was worth it. So, where are we? We are here. So, Toystory. I know this one gave some of you guys a little bit of a challenge this time, and there was a lot of conversation about what does it mean by Toy Story and how do I interpret Toy Story. What I would say to you is, don't worry about the interpretation of the theme so much. In fact, interpreting a theme is really very, very easy indeed. Because all you've got to do, let's say it's Toy Story, is think of something that you would consider a toy, something that you play with, whatever that may be. Go and get it and take a great picture of it. It's the great picture we're after, not what the subject is. So please guys, don't put so much energy into puzzling over what to photograph, because as you'll see as we go through the feedback, etc., there is a huge diversity of subjects. What we're looking for is great photography. Okay, how you use light, how you use composition, how you put the shot together. Yes, the thinking is also incredibly important. You know, having the idea and how you assemble it. This is the thinking of photography, the thought process, which is so vital. In fact, that's where great photography happens. If you look at the awesome photographers of the past, they were taking incredible photos on cameras that had an aperture, a shutter speed and a focus ring. That was all they had. They were taking amazing pictures. Most of the stuff on your camera, and certainly most of the things in the menu, you don't need it. It's put there by marketing people to convince you to go and buy a new one. It's the thinking, it's how you put it together. Yes, it's having an idea, but it's more thinking about how you make that idea into a picture. Where does the light come from? What's the angle? What's the composition? All that good stuff. Excuse me. So, yeah, don't worry so much about interpreting the challenge. This week it's just me. I am your judge this week. We are going to have guest judges because I think they're really valuable listening to these people speak because, you know, they've been there, they've done it. But we are going to intersperse it simply because it is tricky getting people to commit quite a long way in advance. We need to know quite a long way in advance so we can make the tutorial. So what we've done is gone ahead, made the little tutorials and challenges, and we will be getting a few guest judges in. We will have a guest judge for the next one, which will be announced right after we've done this live broadcast. We've got a really cool guest judge coming in to talk to you about that. Wait and see, wait and see, wait and see, and you will find out who that is. The upside of having just me is, of course, that we get to spend a bit more time on your pictures, on your images, giving you some feedback, hopefully some useful constructive criticism and ideas about things that work and things that don't. We've got quite a few more pictures we can go through this time. Please, please, please post your questions in the live feed. Any questions you have, even if it's just about one of the shots, you know, or something I say about one of the shots, please post it into the live feed. If I see it flash past, and I am using this computer and another one down here, if I see it flash past, I may try and do it as we go. If not, my awesome assistant, Emmeline, is at the other end, and she'll be feeding them to me for the Q&A session at the end. But yeah, please keep those questions coming. I think it's really exciting. So we can do more discussion to help you learn. And then, of course, at the end, we'll be going through the runners-up, announcing the winner, followed by the Q&A. So without further ado, why don't we get stuck in at looking at our first image. Forgive me, I need to just go and get something on my other laptop, because what I'm looking at on my screen here is very, very small, and I want to make sure I know what I'm looking at. Right, that's better. So, first of all, I would like to talk to Kirsten Wood. What a great picture. I really love it. Now think about this interpretation thing, guys. Kirsten has gone to something which she enjoys, she likes, which is art, painting, and she has come up with a great picture. What makes this a great picture? Well, really look at it. Look at the light. Look at the qualities of light. What do we mean by that? We mean how the light is falling on, I guess it's her arm. Those little highlights running across the palette board and catching her thumb. It's really, really nice light. And because the light is landing so beautifully on that palette board, it draws your eye, because your eye does go to brighter areas. We've got arm palette board and it just kind of works. And then we've got the slightly softer background with the little mannequins and the art equipment. We can see we're looking out of a window and it's really cool, and it's just slightly out of focus. This is what I mean by the thinking of photography. So Kirsten has thought, how much depth of field do I want to make the background slightly blurry, but not so blurry that we can't see what it is? Where do I need to be to get the light to fall on the palette board so that it is the initial and most noticeable thing in the picture? This is what I mean by the photography thought process. That's not a camera function, that's a you function. So Kirsten, really lovely shot. I love it. I like the colours, I like the light, I like the way you've done it. For me, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of what it is you're painting, something rather than just the red line. The red is quite strong, red draws your eye. And I think it would have been really cool to see a little bit of your art, of whatever it was you were creating. Maybe if you'd painted a little bit more of a picture. And then come back to the art part of it. Let me have a look at your comment just in case. I guess it wasn't easy, I get it. You were just about to start a new oil painting, get it, but maybe a partly finished, I think, may have worked a little better. Using a self-timer, yeah, good stuff. Congratulations, Kirsten. I just think it might have looked a bit nicer had we got a little bit more of your beautiful art. So Patrick, go. GOH, Patrick, I love this. It's such a happy picture, isn't it? It really is a beautifully happy picture, and it's kind of funny. It's quite amusing. And a very difficult shot to take, because how do you get a toy donkey, Eeyore, to balance on the dog's head and keep still long enough for you to get your camera and take the shot? Maybe you had someone helping you. Either way, great thinking. Love it. I would suggest that the exposure is just an teeny bit too bright. I like the brightness of it because it makes it happy. I like bright pictures, but I think it could have come down just a bit, because that beautiful backlighting is just a little too strong around the dog's muzzle and around Eeyore's ears. The only other thing is, and I know this was hard, if you could have moved maybe a fraction to your right just before you press the shutter, we wouldn't have that blue V going on behind Eeyore and the black thing behind your dog's nose. But it's such a great shot. It's great. I love the light, this beautiful backlight. When you put light behind your subject, you get the rim light. In this case, I think it's just a touch too much. But don't be afraid to put the light behind the subject. It really works, and it makes things stand out. I think it's a great job, Patrick. Well done. I do like it very much indeed. I also like this shot by Philip Archie James Lee. Cool name, by the way, sir. I do like this. I like the idea, and I like the work that you have put into trying to create this shot. But unfortunately, I would suggest it's been spoilt a little bit. Now, you have got backlighting, and we have got that little bit of highlight going on around the edge of the dragon's neck and highlighting our our knight in armour's arm. But unfortunately, that huge bright area of the sky in the background is just too much. And because our foreground's a little dark, we just go zooming off and kind of glance past the flaming dragon and crash straight into that bright area. It's also a very greeny blue colour. I don't know if your monitor needs calibrating or attention, whether you intended it to be a greeny blue colour, I don't know. Maybe that would help the flames stand out more. But maybe if you'd turned the whole composition around a little bit, either one way or the other, you could have still had the backlight and not had that great big bright area in the background, which is causing a huge amount of distraction. I'm just reading what you wrote. Yeah. Really cool. Do the YouTube tutorial, but please, please, please make sure you don't have that bright background in your shot, because it doesn't quite work. We're going to be looking a little bit at these bright backgrounds this evening, folks, because here's another beautifully thought out picture. Joshua Reece. I get where you're going with this, but again, the highlight is kind of taking over. You've got the right depth of field. I get you wanted us to focus on, I don't know what they're called, the little peggy things where the guitar strings are anchored. And you've got beautiful light on that sort of, I don't know what it's called. Is it called a bridge? Forgive me, I'm not very musical. It's beautiful light and you're focused in just the right place. But that highlight is just too strong and it's taking us away. I get the feeling this would work really well as a bit of a moody shot, you know? Musicians, moodiness, I don't know, jazz club, something like that, whatever it may be. But unfortunately, the highlight is distracting. So what could we do to avoid the highlight? This is what I mean again, the thought process of photography. What could we do to avoid it? Well, if you were to get maybe a piece of card, something, a coat, something or other, and then position it so that it's just shading or softening the light. Maybe a bit of tracing paper. Maybe I haven't got tracing paper. The shop's maybe closed. You can't go and get it. I get it. But if you could find something just to soften that highlight so that we're looking properly at the little beautifully lit pegs on the instrument, I think that would have really worked well. I truly do. What have we got next? Here we go. I want to also just talk about this shot here by, forgive me, I've messed up something, but never mind, we're going to go with it. Kirsten Sapolsky. I really, really like this. Now, we've just been talking about the bright highlights in the background. And what have we got here? A very bright highlight. And does it draw your eye? Yes, it does. But in this case, it works because it's drawing your eye to the place where you need to look, which is our little, I don't know if it's a Lego person, little figurine, whatever. And I think that's probably a guitar. But that bright area is drawing you. So Christoph is using that brightness to draw you into where he wants you to look. And then secondary to where he wants you to look are the strings, and you kind of slide off up to the right in a really cool way. I think it's a really nice shot. Again, this is all the thinking it through. Look at the whole shot, look at the whole picture. Don't just look at the subject. I think it's a very clever use of light. My constructive criticism, hopefully, Christoph, would be there's a little too much of it. Whether you could have masked a little bit and just so that the pool of light was just that bit smaller and just sort of holding your figurine a bit more, I think it would have helped. But it's still a really great shot. I love the way you've used that highlight in order to make people look at the right place. Forgive me, I am going to pop back a shot, but you see, if we look at where the highlight is here, we're looking in the wrong place. But cool stuff. I think you've done a great job, Christoph. I'm going to talk about one more shot, which has a similar thing going on here, and I love the work that has gone into this. Jonathan Clancey, good man, sir. You know, you've been out there and you've got stuck in, and you have made something happen. That's a lot of work. I don't know where I don't read these comments. I look at the picture. I never read them because I don't want to be influenced. I want to just look at the picture. I'm just having a quick glance to see. Yeah. I don't know whether you did it with a self-timer or how you did it. But you put a lot of work into it. And I think that is really, really cool. However, there's always a but, isn't there? It's that bright highlight again. Now I'm being super picky here, and this is where photography gets to be really, really tough, really, really difficult. You mentioned the brick wall, and you said the brick wall is not the great background. It doesn't matter because it gives a feeling of where you are, a feeling of place, and that is absolutely spot on. However, the bright highlight is highlighting your ankle. Had it been possible to put the highlight behind your body, maybe behind your shoulders, it would have created a bit of a halo behind your shoulders, and then we'd have gone sort of like front wheel you. We'd have gone bam straight into where we need to look, rather than gone front wheel ankle. Oh yes, there he is up there. How could we have done that? Well, the obvious one is shoot at a different time of day. I know that isn't always possible. But what would have happened if the camera had been higher up? I know the angle wouldn't have been dramatic, and maybe you tried this, but if the camera was higher up, as you move the camera up, the sun is going to follow it. It's going to come up too. And by realigning, you might have been able to get the sun behind your body. But nonetheless, it's a great shot. I salute you for the amount of work. I love the fact you shot into the light. I love the fact you shot into the sun, and that you put in so much effort. This is thinking like a photographer. It is so important to be able to do that. Forgive me, I'm just having to have a little ferret about here because I moved something into a different order, and now I'm just a little bit lost. No, I'm not, I'm back. Come on, let's face it. It wouldn't be alive with me, would it, if something didn't go a bit wrong? Hopefully not like it did last week. This shot by Sondra Sim. Sondra, what a cool, moody, atmospheric picture. When I first looked at this, it's striking, it's eye-catching, it's really, really simple. And initially I was thinking, is this Photoshop? Has there been some Photoshopping going on here? How has she created those spectral highlights? Because they really, really add mood to this picture. And then later reading the description, excuse me, after I'd chosen, realised you employed that ancient photographer's trick of smearing a little bit of Vaseline on the lens. You see, guys, it can be so simple. And again, we're talking about thinking like a photographer. Maybe taking the shot and going, yeah, it kind of works. Bunch of cameras hanging on the back of a chair. How simple. The fact that the cameras are really dark against so much brightness, it doesn't matter that there are these bright areas, because again, a bit like the silhouette a little earlier that I think Christoph took, the brightness behind is emphasizing the darkness in front, and then to just put a little smear of Vaseline to diffract the light and break it up. We've taken something very simple, which is a few cameras hanging on the back of a chair, and turned it into something eye-catching. It's not clever, but it is eye-catching. Clever isn't usually the best way to go. Very often, one of the mistakes photographers make, particularly in the early days, is trying to be too clever. And I think that could be the case with some of you who are a little bit worried about the theme. How do I interpret the theme? I want to be clever with the theme. Don't be clever with the theme. Be clever with the photography of whatever you've chosen to be your theme, okay? That's the difference. The light is lovely. It's coming from behind. It's kind of caressing the cameras. It's giving them a great shape, great texture, great shadows. I love the shadows on the chair leg. I like the lines in the carpet. But Sondra, I'm sorry, I have to ask a question. And if you're listening, I'd love to know why. Why is there so much carpet in the foreground? Because I don't think it's serving you in any way. Maybe if you could have cropped some of that carpet away, maybe if you'd just tilted the camera up just a little bit and we got the top of the chair, it would have worked. Maybe you were having a problem because you've got a window there or something and you were thinking, oh, that's too much bright highlight, I get it. But maybe if you just cropped the bottom a bit. I'm going to try something while we're live on air. This is really stupid, but I'm going to try and see if I can just, here we go, I think that worked. Right, I've just done a little adjustment. How about that? Do you see what I mean? By losing just a little bit of that floor, our attention is drawn far, far more tightly into the cameras. I'm just going to have a quick check, forgive me, I want to make sure everything's good. Yeah, that's all right. I have no warnings from Emma on the other one going, I can't hear you, it's not working. So what have we got here? This one, I really love this idea. Forgive me, I need to go to my, we're nearly there. Bear with me, here we are. I can't read it on my screen, it's so small on my Wirecast screen. Cosmin, I really like your idea. I really do. Again, it's great thinking. It's not clever photography, but it's great thinking about, you know, a connection between the sheet music and the instrument. How could we create that? Just by looking down through it, we are channeling the viewer straight into what we want the viewer to look at. Really, really nice, clear, simple thinking. It's not clever and it's not complicated. It's just simple and a great idea. Cosmin, I would say the light on the guitar isn't quite cutting the grade. You needed a bit more light on the guitar. It is very dark. We're not seeing any texture. Maybe if you could have got a bit of light coming from the side. The fact you shot in black and white, I think, is really nice. No problem with that. And possibly if you've got a desk light or something and just put a little bit of light, just a little highlight of light, possibly at a diagonal, just caressing across the front of the instrument and picking up maybe a little bit of sparkle on the strings. I think it would have just brought the guitar more to life, because we kind of go, whoa, music, and we start falling down this tunnel and then we get stuck. And then we go, ah, yeah, guitar. Whereas if I think you could have got a little bit of light just coming across the guitar itself, we'd have just hurtled down through the music and got it like that in an instant, and boom, arrived where you wanted us to. But it's a great idea, Constant. I seriously salute you. Great work. Great work to all of you guys. Everybody who even entered, I totally respect you. There are some wonderful comments from people saying how much they've learnt looking at each other's pictures and how much you've learnt from each other along the way. This is it. It's just get stuck in. You're doing a great job. Colin. I like your light, Colin. I like the moodiness that you have created here of you having a great time in your, did it say anything? Me and my man cave, it did say that, yeah. You have done a beautiful job there. However, Mike Browne and his butts. However, I think you're a bit underexposed. You could have brought more exposure into that shot. You could have brightened that up quite a bit, actually. Because what we've got is the exposure is for what's going on outside the window, the hedge, rather than you. And because the hedge is really the brightest part, again, we're flying out through the window and crashing into the hedge. It wouldn't hurt if the hedge was quite bright. And had it been bright, you'd have been a bit brighter too, without losing the moodiness of the shot, which is great. I love the light coming through the window, really beautifully done. But I just think the whole thing could have been a bit brighter. And instead of going, it's a picture of a hedge outside a window. Oh, I get it now. Here's Colin in his man cave doing stuff. Because I love the light on your hat. I think it's really, really cool. Really great effort, all of you guys, everything that you are uploading and entering. It was so hard trying to choose which ones to talk about. Robert Newland. You, sir, have put in a lot of work. Anybody who hasn't maybe read what's going on, this Robert's been painting with light. Painting with light is a technique, if you don't know, of being in really, really dark conditions. You have the shutter of the camera open for a long time. You maybe need an exposure, a really long exposure. Maybe to photograph the field, you might need 5 minutes or more. So you use a very, very low ISO, so the camera's less sensitive. probably a very, very small aperture. You want to get rid of light so you can keep that shutter open for ages. Whilst the shutter is open, you then kind of go around with a torch or something and you paint light in. It's really hit and miss. It's an incredible skill to get right. But that's how you do it. And it creates a really interesting, moody look. I knew this had been light painted the minute I looked at it, because you can just tell from the way the light's falling. Two things. And Robert, you know what they are, don't you? Everybody knows what they are. And I so get how frustrated you must have been. The moon. You've got a lovely dark cloudy night and you're thinking, great, I can do my light painting shot. You get some really cool light painting on your truck, but the clouds parted just for a moment and the moon came out and ruined the sky and created the brightest part of the picture. Also, that highlight in the corner, I'm guessing it's possibly your hand with the torch. You know, and it's so easy to do. I get it. But I've got to give you a shout out and salute you for putting in all that effort, because had the moon not come out, and maybe if you just open the lens a bit, by opening I mean, you know, widen the shot a bit, move back a bit. I'd like to see more of the bottom of the truck. Maybe if you could have painted a bit of light in underneath from behind, that would have been pretty cool. If you ever want to have a go at light painting, guys, wear black. Black yourself up. Wear balaclava, wear black clothes, black gloves. Don't want anything that's going to pick up light. Maybe a little bit of light underneath, a little bit more space around the truck. I salute you. Well done. Congratulations. I'm so sorry the moon came out and spoilt it for you when you got such a great look on the truck. Heather. Where are we? Heather, here we go. Heather, I love the light. It's tumbling down the stairs just like your little, I think they're Lego men, hanging on the little bit of wool. And again, I totally respect you put a lot of work into this to figure out something, to try an idea, to kind of line things up and tie those little men on the stairs. You really did put some work in. Unfortunately, I think it's just a little bit too busy. We're not quite sure where we need to look. Possibly a slightly tighter crop, not quite so much of the netting on the left. All the colours work beautifully. The pillow or whatever it is at the top, it might be a bag, I'm not sure. I just think there's a little bit too much going on. And it's really easy to get carried away with our ideas and go, oh, I know, and I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to put that in there. But you've got beautiful light cascading down the stairs. It's kind of a backlight. There might be a little bit of light coming in from the side too, not sure. Great idea. And what I really respect is the amount of work that you put into making the shot. Guys, keep your questions coming. If you've got any questions about any of these images as I'm going through, by all means post them in the feed. I'm just going to see if I can see the feed, because it's quite tricky for me looking at everything. Wow, look, lots of questions, lots of people saying things. Excellent. Anyway, I'm going to move on, but keep your questions coming in because we're going to have time to have a good old Q&A session. This is another shot which I thought was a really clever yet really simple idea, and it is very eye-catching indeed. Lisa Rennie, I think you said you had to do it a few times, and I get it. It's a tricky shot. We've got great light. It's kind of backlight, obviously, because, you know, and the sun's high in the sky, and it works for this shot. The foot, the lining everything up, getting you looking down with your trainer, you know, or your hiking boot or whatever. This is a great interpretation of the theme as well, for those of you that are struggling with that aspect, you know. Heather's just gone, something I like, hiking. Okay, what's to do with hiking? My hiking boots. How can I do something creative and inventive with them? And then she tried some stuff out. I do like it. I think it's a great idea. The exposure's good, the colours are good, it's nice and simple, there's not too many colours. I like the fact there's enough light on the tread that you can actually see it, because that could have been a danger with a shot like this. The backlight is on your shoulders, it's making you stand out against the blue sky. You had perfect conditions to do this, which is really great. I'm not entirely sure why you had it that way round though. I do think it's a great shot, but I don't know, I just wonder if it isn't a little bit more powerful when you spin it round the other way. Maybe that's just me. All these things are personal opinions. You know, winning a competition, critiques, criticism, it is purely opinion. It isn't reality. It doesn't actually mean anything's bad and wrong. But I don't know, what do you think, guys? I'm quite intrigued. Do you think it looks better on its side, as Lisa created it, or do you think it looks a little bit better with the upright version? I'm quite intrigued. I'm going to have a quick look in the feed and just see if there are any comments. It's taking me a little bit of... Jacqueline says she quite likes it that way up. Lorraine said she also turned her phone to see what it would look like vertically. Prefer portrait. Good man, Christopher Hawkes. You like it on its side. Stand out against the crowd. This is really cool. Wow, lots of comments coming in. As it was. Harshal likes it on its side. Definitely rotated. I prefer upright. Norman. Much better upright from Paul. Better in portrait. So what have we learnt from this, guys? People who like it upright and people who like it on its side are both right, because it's subjective. There isn't a right and there isn't a wrong. There's just what you like, and I just think this is so super cool, because I'm loving the fact you're banging in those comments. Let's see if we can do a little bit more about this. But nonetheless, I think that is a really great shot, Lisa. Congratulations and well done. Just giving you a shout out there. Now let's have a little look at Alan Reece's little truck. Anybody, guys, if you want to put a comment in there about it, I'm going to see if we can make this work. I don't read very fast, so you might have to bear with me, but I just think that was such fun just now. You said you put lots of effort into upping your game, and you have upped your game. Congratulations, Alan. Good man. Trying to keep it simple. Absolutely brilliant. Good man. Simple works. And simple proved to be quite complex. It's this bit, it's the thinking. And I get it. It's like, well, I don't really understand what you mean, thinking like a photographer. It's like anything. With practice, things get easier. It's what my 7 building blocks of photography course is about, this thought process. It's basically a whole series of different types of questions, powerful questions to ask ourselves, which will then lead us to the place we want to be. It's all about controlling our thoughts rather than letting our thoughts control us. You know, so maybe how could this shot possibly have been improved? It's only my opinion. I'd be interested in yours if you want to post some into the feed here. I think the boot is in focus in landscape view, whereas portrait, the eye is drawn to the person. Sorry, Julie, I'm reading about the wrong shot. Apologies. Alan, too, you're the author. Roy Robertson, yes, I believe that this is a toy car. Alan, if you're watching, tell us. I'm pretty sure it is. It's a toy 4x4 off-roader, probably quite a large one. And I love your creativity in getting the camera down low and making us question, is this a real one? Also, the very shallow depth of field is probably giving away the fact that I think it is probably a toy, because when you get close, your depth of field shrinks. It gets really, really small. Bearer Clive has just said slightly more of the truck in focus, not just the wheel, would have perhaps made for a stronger image. I would agree. Those actually were my thoughts. I love the softness of the background. We've only got a few colours, it works. But I think possibly if you could have moved your block of sharpness just back a tiny bit. I don't know what aperture you're on. If it's a smallish truck, you'd have had to put on a small aperture just to get any depth of field. But maybe if you could have just pulled the focus back a bit, and I'm guessing you focused towards the front of the driver's door there. Maybe if you'd focused at the back of the door, it would have just sharpened the rear wheel a tiny bit. Too much out of focus in the foreground. Unlike this one, the blur on the rear made it seem to be moving, you see. Call me mum. You've been around for ages. Thank you. I appreciate your comment. I wish I knew what your real name was. Yeah, maybe a little bit more at the back, but again, notice some people say they prefer it with the blur, some people they think they would prefer it with a little bit more sharpness. Slightly more depth of field would be better. Yeah, there is no right nor wrong. I think it's an interesting, eye-catching image, Alan, and a big shout out there. Good for you. You have upped your game. Congratulations. Nice work. Now let's go have a look at Phillida Ackworth. Well, not you personally, Phillida, but your photography. I think that's a really lovely picture. Again, you've just chosen something that is amusement to you, toy, and then gone, right, how can I photograph it? This is what I mean by don't get too hung up on what the theme is and a clever way to interpret the theme, because the clever way doesn't usually work, the simple way does. And this is a lovely, simple way of doing it. If you look closely at the way the light is falling on the subject, we've got the artist's easel with the artwork on it. That is the brightest part of the picture. And boom, you go straight to it. Now, I would suggest the secondary part of the picture should be the I don't know what you call it. I'm a biker, I call it a toolbox, but it's probably not the right word. But the boxes with all your brushes and paints and all the rest of it, and the piece of cloth draped over the table. There's some really lovely light on that. What do I mean by lovely light? If you look really closely at the light, can you see how around the top rims, the edges of the boxes, it's just a bit brighter? There are little soft pools of shade and little areas of brightness. That is what I mean by lovely light. Us human beings, we don't see light in this way naturally. We have to practice it. We have to work at it. What we tend to do is look and go, I can see the easel, I can see the things on the table, there's light, full stop. As you start to get a little bit more advanced, the first step is learn how your camera works, obviously. There's only 5 controls you need. Go do my Ultimate Beginner's course, sort it out, get it done. Once you've got your 5 controls working, you know what they do, the next step is learning how to see the light and asking yourself questions. Does this light look great? Where are the shadows? Where are the highlights? Can I move something to make the light better? My only criticism of this Phillida is, unfortunately, that little tree in the background is it's fighting with your easel. They are having a scrap in your photograph. And we're kind of like, ooh, do I look at the photo? The tree keeps going, the tree's going, hello, I'm over here. Hello, come and look at me. And it's in competition with your artwork. How could we have fixed that? There are different ways of doing it. Maybe a slightly different camera angle and a slight movement to the left and a little bit lower, you might have been able to hide the tree behind the easel. Or maybe you could have just turned the table just a little bit and kept the same angle for your composition, but by turning the table a bit, you could have moved that tree out of shot to the right. And then I think it would have been stronger. And I think it might have worked nicer with that lovely curved shape of the bush in the background, just soft and slightly blurry. I just think that would have worked. But nonetheless, you've got some beautiful light and a great shot. The thing is, don't get too lost in the subject, because you've done a great job with the subject. Remember to look at the entire picture and always ask yourself powerful questions. Is there anything going on in the background that's distracting? How could I remove it? Could I turn the table a bit? Is the car in the driveway? Right, can I move the car? No. Right, how else could I do it? What happens if I lower the camera and look at it from this angle? Okay, I've lost most of the bush behind the easel. Right, could I make the easel a little bit higher to hide the last little bit? That's what I mean by the thought process. This is the photographer's thought process. It sounds like it's long-winded and a load of old guff. It isn't. It is crucial. And as you practice, of course, it starts to become really easy. Loads of comments flying through here, guys. I really would love to read them, but I'm a little bit... Alan Edwards just said, perhaps a sketch of the tree on the easel. That would be a nice touch, nice idea. But nonetheless, Phillida, shout out to you. I think you've done a great job. Now, what have we got next? We have got Mr. Lee Murray. Mr. Lee Murray, I guess you know that I ride motorcycles. Were you up to something here? I think it's a really, really, really well put together shot. I don't know how you've lit it, and I have no idea how you created these lines on either side. I don't know what the background is. I know it says it was Toy Harley on the dining room table. I don't know what the background is to create this. It is really quite spectacular. If you're watching, Lee, I'd love to know if you can throw it into the comments. But it is a spectacular shot. You've got that great reflection. You've got really good contrasty light on the bike, and it's picking up all the highlights and the shadows. The brightest area of the shot is in exactly the right place. It's on the bike. It's on the side of the engine. So bang, we're straight in. We know where we're supposed to look. And then we kind of spread out around the bike. But because of these lines coming in from the side, it's holding us in the right place. So we linger looking at the bit that Lee wants us to look at, which is, of course, the bike. Again, I don't know how you created it. I don't know whether it's something you noticed and you spotted and saw, whether you created those lines with shadows, whether they're just shadows that were there, something that happens in your room. Maybe you figured you could use them in some way. I don't know. But I do think it's pretty amazing. I really do. I just need to say a quick hello, Lucy Perrier. She's been on a few workshops with me. I've got to say hello. Forgive me. Bob Pepitas is saying excellent shot, wouldn't change a thing about it. Anybody else want to comment? Really? You know, this is what it's all about. We all learn from each other, and throwing ideas out there is a really cool way to go. Yeah, of course, the reflection is superb. Hi, Lucy. Yeah. Awesome. I've got one little piece of criticism. So, Lee, it just bugs me a tiny bit that it's cropped off, you know, the kind of fat bob, the instrument panel on the tank and the handlebars. They're kind of just chopped off and missing. Is there a reason for that? Because I feel that it would be better there. Now, it looks to me like the shade is kind of, the light is falling off, but I don't think that matters. I just think it might have looked a little bit better had we been able to see. So it was a total mirror, the same gap at the top as we have at the bottom, I think would be really cool. Clean up the tabletop with the white spots. I don't mind the white spots myself. Who said that? Can I read fast enough? No, I can't. Forgive me, whoever said that. I get where you're coming from, but I think too pristine can look a little bit too clinical. Is it shot in front of an image on a laptop? I don't know. Emma, if you find it, please pop it into the Slack that you're going to send me. Congratulations, Lee. Awesome, awesome picture. Agonised over that one a bit. So our next shot, I think, is a really clever idea. Tanweer Haider, I don't know how I pronounce your name. I think this is such a moody, evocative and clever idea. It is so simple, but it's a bit underexposed. It's undercooked. So what Tanweer's done is take an acrylic toy elephant and put it in front of the laptop with the sunset on the laptop. How cool's that? You said you got a bit of ambient evening sunlight was coming in through the window. I don't know if that's the little highlight on the side of the elephant, or whether you've managed to paint that on there, or whether that's something that's being picked up from the screen of your laptop. But do you see what I mean, guys? What a simple idea. How does this fit with the brief toy story? Well, there's a toy in it, but that's not what's important. What is interesting is that idea. Hey, look, I've got a toy elephant here. What can I do with it? Really, this is how you do things. Remember listening to all of our guest judges speaking, particularly Benno Saradic. Remember what he said about the amount of research, the amount of time he spends considering an image, considering where to go and how to make it work, because there's a lot of work goes in the background. So I don't know, Tanweer, but maybe it's a case of you going, well, here's a toy. I love my little toy elephant. I love elephants in general. What could I do with this elephant? I mean, really, we want a bush sunset, don't we, out in the jungle? That would look cool, but I haven't got, oh, hang on a minute. I got those shots I took on safari, and there's something on my screensaver from, and away you go. You've got an idea. The important thing is how you photograph that idea. Really, really great shot. It is great lighting. Tanway, it just needed a little bit more exposure in my opinion, because the elephant is just a little bit too lost. Just a bit brighter. You'd probably go a stop brighter. One stop brighter would be double as bright as it is now. One stop is a halving or a doubling. So let's have a little look at this one from the aptly named Marco Polo. What a great little idea. What a simple, easy little idea. It's a toy. It's telling a story. We've got some great light going on. I love the way it is just airborne. I don't know whether it is airborne or whether you've got it sort of somehow stuck on those two bricks, but the bricks are quite dark and you don't really notice them. You've got to sort of look, because we do look straight at Mario. Unfortunately, we also then look straight at a pair of trainers in the background. Oh, Marco. That's such a shame. I'm guessing if you know, your little kart driver was being whizzed along and you were actually capturing the kart driver in midair, congratulations. I don't know how you did this. It's a great shot. But the trainers just utterly ruin it. Maybe a slightly higher camera angle. I know what was going on. You were concentrating on the subject and missed the trainers. And it's a shame. Maybe you wanted them to be there. I don't know. Guys, post a comment. Do you think the trainers add something or subtract something to Marco's shot? Please just bung them in the feed. I would like to know your thoughts. Am I alone here? Trainers or no trainers? Go for it. Okay, MHJH Library. I thought the shoes were part of the story. Maybe they are. I don't know. Glenn Haskins says the trainers spoil it. Karen says the trainers don't quite work. The shoes need to go. Eyes go straight to the trainers. No trainers, no trainers. Guys, don't just agree with me. I don't think you are. I trust your integrity, but I'm only doing this, Marco, because I just want you to get it. You know, they are a distraction. They're distracting lots of people. Thank you so much for commenting, guys. I'm loving this because it's more interactive. This is much better than having a stuffy old award-winning judge, isn't it? I shouldn't say that. I'm very, very lucky to know these guys because they're awesome. Okay, so now, where are we? We need to move on. I'm really enjoying your comments and you guys rock. I'm privileged and honoured to have you here. I truly am. So now what are we going to do? We are going to look at our runners-up. A huge shout out to everybody whose picture we've just looked at. I hope what you've heard is of value and it helps you because you've done a sterling job. So let us have a look at our runners-up. Forgive me, I have got to do a little bit of fiddling around on my other laptop to make sure I'm in the right place. Here we go. So, our first runner-up is Chris Steele. Isn't that a cool picture? Chris, that is such a brilliant picture. Now, it is Toy Story, very obviously Toy Story, but it's beautifully done. What is the beautiful part about this? Again, guys, those of you who worry about the theme and ways to interpret it, how simple is this? We've got a toy aircraft in front of a toy hangar. That's all. There is nothing clever. How many colours have we got going on? We got green, we got white, we got a bit of black. That's all. Really, really simple, and it works. It works. Why does it work? This is the next powerful question that all photographers can ask themselves in helping to evolve their thought process. Why does it work? Because of the light. The composition is really clean and it's really carefully composed. We've got a very structured aircraft hangar going on here. And you don't want to have that wonky, a funny angle, the camera a bit tilted. It would kill it in an instant. It's lovely and straight and beautifully composed. But the light. Look at the light. Look at the light qualities. If anybody wants to hazard a little guess about what they think the light's doing. excuse me, I'm keeping an eye on the feed here. Where is the light coming from? Yes, Denise, the spinning propellers are ace 2, and I'll come to that in a moment. Works because of the propellers rotating. Glenn, I would say it's not just because the propellers are rotating. If you had horrible, harsh, flat light on that and the propellers were rotating, it would be completely unnoticeable. Light is the most important thing in all of photography. You can have the most stunning range of mountings, the most beautiful or handsome of models. You can have the most incredible location. But if the light doesn't work for that location, the shot will be mediocre at best, no matter how well you compose it. I have just put together one of the new webinars on this very subject. It's not ready to go live yet, but I've been working on it for a couple of days. The whole balance of light looks great. The soft light makes me feel nostalgic. It is soft, and yet it is shadowy. It's not just soft. There's contrasty light. Awesome. Right, here we go. Jean-Pierre Marchetti, awesome lighting spot. Awesome lighting spot on, yeah, but where's it coming from? It's the diffused light on the plane, yes, and there are 2 lights, aren't there? It looks to me as though there is a bit of light coming down and in front. Maybe there's a torch up in the air. I don't know how you've created that spotlight, but it's coming from above and down. Look at the shadows. Shadows tell you what light is doing. The light is coming from in front of the aircraft. So because it's coming from in front of the aircraft, we go boom, straight into the brightest part, the nose of the plane. It's only subtly brighter, but it is brighter. And then we drift off back and we see those spinning propellers powered by, I don't know his name, I'm not going to read it now, but powered by Chris's son lying on the floor going huff, huff, blow, blow, blow to get them spinning. Really cool. But it's the light, guys. It's the light. The light is falling off down the fuselage of the aircraft. The front of the plane is brighter than the back of the frame. The shadows are going away. If you didn't have those bright and dark and those shadows, the light would be flat. No matter how well composed it is, it wouldn't work. Beautiful light, great choice of subject, really well photographed. Chris Steele, you're awesome. Maybe you'd like to join us on that webinar I've just mentioned as soon as it's ready. Anyway, Emmeline will be in touch with you. Congratulations, I love that shot. And moving on, we have got Dina Peters. So simple, yet so effective. Again, look at the subject. People who are worrying about interpreting the theme. Look at the diversity of subjects we've got. Dina has gone, I like crochet. I'm going to do my crochet hooks, needles, whatever. And then she's found a way to take a great picture of them. That's all there is to interpreting the theme. You don't need any more guidance. Stretch that creativity muscle. It's like any other muscle in the body. The more you use it, the stronger, the more powerful it becomes. Hard to begin with. I get it. I get it. I need to do more lower back of the body muscles exercises because I sit in a chair all the time. I was working out this morning and I was doing some and I was like, oh, this is such hard work. I can do push-ups, easy. But trying to do something like a reverse plank, oh man, that hurts because I need to do it more. It's the same with your creativity muscle. Dina, I love it. I really, truly do. I don't know if these are reflective hooks or whether or not they are coloured hooks. I don't know how you brought those colours into there. Dina, if you're listening, I'd love to know. But you've got, again, great light. We've got little highlights that are going on the heads of these little crochet hooks. Where do we look? Straight at the heads of the crochet hooks. The depth of field is just right, you know, we've got that soft background, but you can still tell it's wool. If anything, I'd say you could maybe have had a little bit more depth of field just to bring the front crochet hook just maybe a tiny bit sharper and the wool a little bit sharper too, if you could. But it is such a great shot. I love the way you've just been brave enough just to touch the crop across the top of the head of the back one. I love the way that there's that little naughty hook. They're like birds, aren't they? There's that little naughty one, you know, the second one in a row who's not paying attention, who's just looking the other way, doesn't want to play. I just love it. It's fun, it's witty, and there's some gorgeous light. The light seems to be coming towards the shot. I do think you could have done with a tiny bit more depth of field, and possibly, I don't know if there's a little bit of camera shake, it doesn't look 100% sharp, but it doesn't matter. It's not enough to put me off. You're still in the runners-up, and I think it's a really cool shot. Let me have a quick look and just see if any of our photographers have said anything. Keep your questions coming, the big questions, guys, because Emma will be feeding them to me, and I'm sure she's picking them up. Lee Murray, I used a bounced flash card and the reflection is off the table. Lee, I need to go and find your shot so we can just go and have a quick look at that. Oh, I've got so many windows open here. Let me go have a look. Here we go. I'm just going to quickly whiz back. Dina, congratulations. I shouldn't be doing this, but I am just quickly. So it's a bounced flash off a card down onto the table, I think you just said, onto the motorbike. Yeah. Really beautifully done. Right, I'm sorry, I'm going to come back to Dina, our runners up. I shouldn't be skipping around, but I just had to. Beautifully done, Dina. Really beautifully done. It's a cracking shot. Now, let's have a look at, actually, someone I've known for an incredibly long time and whose photography has come such a long way. I got to say, congratulations and well done, Mel Port. We were riding motorbikes around when we were in our teens. We kind of hung out with the same bunch of scruffy hooligans on motorbikes. And this is where thinking like a photographer and putting in practice really comes in. Forgive me. A few years ago, I remember you first started getting into this, Mel, and you know, you were taking some okay pictures, but now you're doing really breathtaking, eye-catching things. Forgive me. We both live in the same area in the New Forest in Hampshire, and there are places I've seen Mel take pictures of that I think, wow, that's brilliant. And some I've photographed myself, some you will have seen in videos and things. And I just think he's put a different spin on it, because all the time Mel is out shooting pictures. So this is wool spinning. If you're not sure what wool spinning is, you take some wire wool and you put it into a metal, food whisk. You then tie the handle of the food whisk onto a length of string. You set fire to the wire wool, and then you start spinning the whisk round and round on the end of the length of string. Excuse me. And you get all these sparks and things whistling and flying off. Now, it's just a really cool effect. It's an abstract. So, Mel's saying here, you did it in the back garden. So you've got a little pond, you've got a few rushes. It's what time? The light. What time of day? Look, we've got that blue, blue, blue going on in the sky. What does that tell me? What does that tell us? It tells us it's twilight. If it was a black sky, it wouldn't work so well. We've got that little blue, that bit in between full sunset and, sunset and full dark. The sky's blue. Perfect time to do it. I'm really intrigued, Mel, and if you can comment, if you're watching, I'm really interested how you got the decreasing spiral coming in towards the shot like this, how you made it shrink. Sorry, up there, aren't you? Your camera's up there. How did you make it shrink? I'm really intrigued by the other little bit going on sort of in the foreground on the grass. But it's eye-catching, it's a great idea, and you are obviously playing. I think it's really, really cool. And some of the comments come in. Keep your comments coming, guys. Really impressed and intrigued. This image is stunning from Kirk, yeah. A dog lead, yeah, really good one. Nice one, Martin. If you're going to try wool spinning, maybe use a dog lead because it's a little bit more substantial than a bit of string. You don't want it going flying off and landing in the next door's hedge and calling out the fire brigade to you. Yeah, great stuff. Lorraine Spencer, I've never seen a picture like this. Yeah, that's how you do it. Have a play with it. It's a bit, it's like sparkler effect on bonfire night when you whiz the sparklers round and round. It's really, really interesting. Reflection in greenhouse looks like he walked backwards. Have you spotted something I haven't? Possibly. But beautifully done. Well done indeed, Mel Port. Now let's go and have a look at actually another lady, not another lady, Mel's not a lady, but Anne Ashburn. We were going to do some training together. I think it was last year. And what a beautiful picture. What a beautiful picture. It's just lovely. The light, again, is gorgeous. Where do we go, guys? Think about light. We go to the brightest part of the picture. Where's the brightest part of the picture? The brightest part of the picture is at the top of the tape measure, where the little needle is on the sewing machine, isn't it? We then kind of fall, lovely, tumbling down the slide to the little bobbins and you know, the spools of cotton. It's really, really beautifully done, Anne. I really take my hat off to you there. The folds of the fabric are just right. There's not too much going on in this shot. If there were more cotton bobbins, if there was other things going on the fabric in the background, it wouldn't work. Look at the light, look at the shadows. Really study these things, guys. This is how you learn light. You look at things. There isn't a book you can read. There isn't a video you can watch. It's in my Ultimate Beginner's course, how to learn how to look at light, but you can't just read it and then you know. You've got to do the work. You've got to practice, you know? And if you want to do it, go and do it now. Go and get yourself on the Ultimate Beginner's course and learn about light. Do it now. And then when you come out of lockdown, you'll be flying, won't you? You'll just be rocking it. So, beautiful light, Anne. Really, really beautifully well done. Congratulations. My only possible constructive criticism is that I think you could have been maybe just a teeny little bit darker, just a quarter, maybe even half a stop darker. And then the highlight on the edge of the tape measure wouldn't have burnt. I don't generally have a problem with burnt out highlights because some highlights burn out. And that one could well be one because the light under a sewing machine is pretty strong. But it's beautifully done. Oh, hang on, I've just got a message from Emma Port, Mel's wife, unless it's Mel pretending to be his wife. He does that sometimes. He runs a shop and you go and he's wearing a dress. It's horrible. It was just a big blob that fell off. And you can see Mel as he's walking quite fast with a long exposure. Got it. Thank you, Emma. So Mel's walking backwards quite fast, long exposure, and the bit on the grass was just a big blob. I'm sorry, Anne, I'll come back to you. I shouldn't do this. I'm a scatterbrain. And beautifully, beautifully done. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you on one of our forthcoming webinars. Keep it up, Anne. Keep it up. As I remember, confidence was one of those things you were a little bit lacking, so you're rocking. Well done. I'm just going to quickly pop back and look at this runner-up here of Mel's, because now Emma's just said, so the sparkly bit in the foreground was just a big lump of burning wire wool that fell out. And then it is Mel's walking backwards to change to get that, I don't know what you call it, that zooming in effect, that spooling effect. Good stuff, good stuff. Thank you, Emma. Thank you for passing that one on. And we're getting very, very close now because here is our final runner-up, Ruth. What's going on here? Something's going on. Here we go. Ruth Pippi Wilson. Forgive me, I couldn't read it on the other screen. It's a toy, reading a story, job done. That is one of the most simple interpretations of the theme ever, but it's not Ruth's interpretation of the theme that has made her a runner-up. It's the way she has photographed her interpretation of the theme. The light, again, look at light. We're talking about light a lot tonight, guys, because light is just the most important thing in photography, apart from you. You are the most important thing, and how you think. You need to know a few camera controls, yes, but how you think, how you use those camera controls, the powerful questions you ask yourself to find out what settings you need, that is where photography happens. The only difference between a beginner and advanced, a beginner knows how to control the camera, they know what the knobs and buttons do, they understand a bit about light. An advanced photographer knows the right questions to ask to make the shot come alive. It's not gadgets, it's not, you know, if you know the right questions to ask, you can easily figure how to do that shot, you know, wine splashing into a glass or the glass breaking and all the rest of it. If you know which questions to ask, it's really simple. The rest of it is just 5 camera controls. That's all there is. Ruth Pippi Wilson, you've done a stunning job in interpreting this theme. Beautiful, soft, gentle side light. The light qualities on your little toy figurine here are beautiful. What do I mean by light qualities? Look, the right side of the figurine is slightly brighter than the dark side. Right down the middle of the face there is a line where you go into the shadowed side. Those are light qualities, gentle, soft light qualities. Look at the shoulders. Look at how the shoulder on the right is brighter than the shoulder on the left. There's a little shadow coming down from the head. Look at the head itself. The right side of the head is almost lost into the book behind, but the left side of the head is darker and it holds together. It's standing out against the book. I love the way the hands are placed onto the book, the comic, the way the body has been tilted and the head tilted at another angle. It is really, really, really well done. Now looking at this, I would say there's a bit of post-production or something gone on here. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a double exposure. I'm not sure. But because you can just see a little tiny bit of the print over the top of the figurine, so whether it is something that was done in Photoshop and laid over, I don't know. But either way, it works. If you go back into history, those of you who are going, oh, Photoshop's not allowed, it shouldn't be, no. Cartier-Bresson was sandwiching negatives in the enlarger, taking 2 or 3 negatives or more and sandwiching them. There's no different. The only difference is in Photoshop, you've got a virtual layer. You've got a pretend piece of acetate. It's digital, whereas Cartier-Bresson and the others were using real acetate and putting layers together and creating multiple exposures in one shot. But nonetheless, it's an incredibly effective image, Ruth. I truly think it's awesome. So yeah, guys, keep your questions coming. I'm guessing Emma's harvesting them. So that's the last of our runners-up. Congratulations to all of you. You've done a stunning job. Everybody who has entered, all of the competitions have done a stunning job. Knowing the difficulty some of you guys were having, getting hooked up, caught on the theme, and it's easily done. Don't get me wrong, it's easily done. I'm not criticizing you. Everyone has done an awesome job, and I'm loving the support you are giving each other along the way, and the great comments are going, wow, I've learned so much in this group. So here we come to the big moment, and I just want to say a huge shout out and congratulations to this week's Toy Story winner, Jane Kilbride. I think that is such a beautiful shot. It is absolutely gorgeous. It just says everything that you need to know all at once. Where is the brightest part of the picture? It's the flower falling and the top of the little pyramid of flower. You're taken straight to where you need to go. The light around the rim of the bowl holds you there for a moment. We got the flower that has escaped the bowl. It's sitting on the tabletop. And as you kind of follow that line, you get that gorgeous little wisp where the updraft of air has caught a bit of flour and kind of twirled it up and around. Absolutely beautifully done. Light, we talk about light this week a lot. Look at the light. Look at those 3 eggs. Come on guys, comment. Look at the 3 eggs. What's going on with the light qualities on the 3 eggs? Somebody say something. Perfect lighting, said Guffus S. It is, but what about it? Robin Millett says his wife Pat is absolutely well deserved. It is. What about this light, guys? Look at the eggs. If I don't see a comment in a minute in the live feed, I am going to move on. Anyway, I'm going to move on. What's that? I'm going to move on. Look at the light on the eggs. You see there's a little gentle highlight on the middle egg. And look at the shape of the eggs. The thing that is causing the shape of the eggs is there's a little gentle bit of light, and it's coming from one side, and it's giving the eggs that wonderfully spherical shape. It is absolutely beautifully done. The eggs are a little darker, even though there's the highlight, making them secondary to the flour, which is what it's all about. This is all about the baking. Jane loves baking. Jane obviously has a passion for it and loves it. Look at the way it's been shot. The table is straight, it's flat. There's no wonky angles going on here. It has been very, very carefully put together. The wooden spoon is in a slightly shadier area. It's darker. You see light and shade, light and shade, light and shade. The rolling pin is darker still, off to the edge. Would it work better if the rolling pin were not cropped off? I don't know without seeing it, but you know what? I don't care that the edge of the pin is cropped. Because here's the thing, the rolling pin is not the subject. The subject is the flour and the bowl and the light and the dust and the eggs. It's eggs and flour. It's baking. The rolling pin is secondary. It's not that important. It's there. We don't need to see a whole rolling pin to know that it is there. What hits us in the face is the flour and the bowl. Absolutely fabulous. I think it's a beautiful image. It's contrasty, yet the lighting is soft. A friend of mine is quite a famous baker, a guy called Richard Bertinet. Google him, have a look. You may have seen Bertinet breads in supermarkets and things like that. He designs bespoke breads and things. He works with some of the top chefs in the world all over the place. He has published several books just about bread and dough and crumb and baking. And forgive me if I can't remember the name of the other books. But this is very much, I could see this in one of his books. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful photography. Congratulations, Jane. Congratulations to everybody. Absolutely fab. So we are now at the end of this part, and I would like to address some of your questions. So Emma, if we have some questions, I think you've fed me a few already. Here we go. So this is a bit of a general question, but guys, if you want to ask questions about light, now is your time. We are here. We've been discussing light. You've seen pictures being discussed about light. If you've got problems about light, you want to ask questions about light, ask them now. This is the time to do it. This is a golden opportunity. When we start doing the webinars, you're going to have to pay to ask me questions about light. I'm sorry, I have to make a living too, you know. Much as I love doing this, I have to be able to pay the rent. Roy Robertson, hi Mike, what do I think of astrophotography? I think it looks fantastic. Don't know anything about it, never done it, never tried it. Funny enough, my buddy Tom Oswald from boss of Clickersnap, he was really into it a while ago. He's not doing it so much these days. He's kind of moved on to doing something else. He's also, unfortunately, very unwell. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what to say, Roy. What do I think of it? It looks breathtaking and awesome. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about it. Nick Smith asked, you mentioned calibrating a monitor. Can you recommend an expensive way of doing this? An inexpensive way of doing this? Buy a monitor spider. I'm sorry, it's a tough question. If getting the colours right are important to you, it's like, do you need to calibrate your monitor? If you're printing and you want the colours to be accurate and beautiful and right, then yes, you do need to calibrate your monitor. Because if you don't know what colour your screen is, and the printer gets a print and thinking you prepared it that way, you get back an orangey red print, not knowing that your monitor is a bit sort of the wrong colour. It's a bit greeny, cyany, and then you've colour corrected it and made it orangey red, and you're going, why does the picture look like that? It's whether or not it's important to you. A monitor spider will cost you about £100. It means that you can calibrate your monitor every month for many years to come, and you will always know it's the right colour. I would assert that £100 for a monitor spider isn't a great deal of money. I'm sure you can pick them up secondhand on eBay and places like that for not a great deal of money. Jill 3D, how do I feel about composite images? We've been making composite images for many years, as I mentioned just now, sandwiching negatives in the enlarger. People have been doing it for well over 100 years. I don't think it matters if the image works. It works. Do you look at the image and go, wow, that's awesome? Or do you just kind of pass it by? Composite images, not a problem myself. Ahmed Berbers, when is a highlight not distracting in an image? Ahmed, we did talk about this earlier when we looked at I'm going to have to just do something here. Christoph's image. So here's a highlight, a very bright highlight, but it's not distracting because it is taking you to the subject of the picture, which is, of course, the little figurine there. When is a highlight not distracting? When it works. I'm sorry, that is the answer. It's about using your brilliant brain. That's the first building block of photography. Use your brilliant brain. Look at the picture. Does this highlight add something or detract? Right, if you look at my glasses, there you go, look at that. Look at my glasses right now. That's a really, really annoying highlight, isn't it? It is the reflection of this laptop over here, the screen. If I turn the laptop, watch, it will, see, it's faded. Now it's not so distracting, is it? But when you have it fully reflecting, that's a really annoying highlight. If I turn my head, it's gone. What about the highlight over my shoulder here? I'd suggest it's not that bad. I know it's the brightest part of the picture, but it is also part of the room. There's a light on in the corner, it's evening time. If you were worried about it and you were taking a picture, how about if you moved yourself a little bit and you could hide it? Yeah? Hope that helps. Ahmed Gary Cleesbow, doesn't the moon add mood to the light with the light painted car? Let me go find it quickly. Let's go have a look. Yeah, you could say it does. Forgive me, I've got so many things going on this screen. I'm trying to find the light painted car. Oh lordy, there it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little bit too much. Had the clouds been a little bit thicker and the light was coming through the cloud more gently, I think maybe it would. But in this case, I think it's just a little bit too much, Gary. But good observation. Certainly a good observation. What else have we got here? Tony McCullen. So how it's just you, Mike. How did the schooling go regarding your book writing? Oh, so now it's just you, Mike. Those of you who don't know, anyone who's followed my YouTube for a while will know that I have in the past been in excess of 10 stone heavier than I am now. I cracked that particular thing, which I'd struggled with all my life, about 3-4 years ago, and have been pretty consistent ever since. The YouTube channel documents it in all its painful history. I am creating a book about it, and thank you for asking, Tony. I'm way behind. There are so many other things demanding my attention, but it is going to happen. I am going to do this, and I do want to help people who have struggled and fought with weight throughout their lives, because I feel very lucky and privileged to have found a way to manage it, not using willpower, and still be able to eat pretty much whatever I want. It sounds like it's magical. It isn't. It's all to do with everything we've talked about tonight, actually. Everything goes on in here. It's how to retrain your thoughts, whether it be for photography or weight loss. I will come to it at a more appropriate time. Jeremy Waller, when doing a portrait type picture like the winner, does a backlight or hairlight help separate the background? Jeremy, it depends from subject to subject. I would say yes, with Jane's flower dust, which is gently falling through the air, yeah, maybe a little bit of backlight coming through there is helping to bring it to life, and it does. It doesn't always, it depends again on the background. So then if you think about this one, the background is just one big highlight, but that helps accentuate the foreground because it's a very, very different type of shot to Jane's. It's all about what's appropriate. There is no rule for this stuff, guys. This is why it's so crucial that you learn how to use your camera, learn what those handful of controls you need do, how they affect the picture, how to use them. There's only 3 exposure controls, and for goodness sake, if you can get dressed in the morning, you can manage 3 controls. Stop rushing off to auto. I'm not saying you can't use it, but you do need to know how to use those 3, and then there's a couple of others. How to use focal lengths and 1 or 2 other things. Learn how those things work. Learn to look at light. Learn how to position things within your composition. And then you find what works. There isn't a rule that says back like this and it will work, front like that and it will work. If you were listening, the rule in landscape, they always say you want sunlight and evening light, don't they? Anybody who was listening to Tom Mackey last week, his number one selling picture, the Divvy Divvy tree, the curly tree against the blue ocean, is taken with the sun right above, midday, harsh light. If you take conventional wisdom for landscape photography, that shot doesn't work. You've got to learn what your camera does and how to use it, and then learn how to think so that you can then bring all these situations together and just nail it. Where are we? Portrait Susanna Smith. How do you set up lights for a still life like Jane's? Again, Susanna, there is no right answer. I don't know how Jane did that. Did she set up lights? Did she use available light? Did she use window light? I don't know. She said she did a little bit of cleaning up in Photoshop. I have no problem with that because the shot just works. Again, I can't answer questions like, how do you set up lights for that shot? There is no answer. There are a billion ways you could do it. There are so many ways. What you've got to do first is learn how to see light. Look at light. How does it work? You can learn that sitting in the car in a traffic jam. Just look around you. You can do it right now. Wherever you're sitting, look around the room. Look at what's going on around you. Where are the shadows falling? Right. If you want the shadows coming this way, where are you going to have to put the light? Behind it. Boom. That's all you need to know. I put the light behind it. Sorry, that is no clear-cut answer. I was going to say about your glasses. I don't know who said that. I guess it was Emma trying to tell me something. Bob Taylor, any tips for focus stacking? I wanted to try it this week for the moon, but the clouds got in the way. I'm not sure what you mean there, Bob. Focus stacking is generally used if you've got something really close to the camera and then things going away into the distance. And I'm not sure a shot of the moon you need to focus stack unless you've got something very close to the camera in the foreground. So let's assume you have. It's a technique, you do it in Photoshop or other post-production software, I guess. It's not something I have ever done, to be honest. I'm lazy, the computer end doesn't really excite me. I tend to just use my bog standard 18 to 55mm lens on a camera with available light, and that's about it. If anybody's interested, anybody hasn't seen the sort of photography I do, there are links below this. Go click on some. There's one to my images. Go have a look. So yes, I can't answer the focus stacking thing. I'm sorry. Google my friend Thor Thoronen. If you go to my website, how can you find Thor? Thor Photography. Google Thor Photography. He, I think, is doing some free or possibly paid for webinars and things about this. He does it a lot and he's very, very good at it. Thor Photography. Google it. Go find Thor. George Gauchi, does natural light enhance photos better than artificial light? Impossible question to answer because it depends on the photo. I'm sorry, George. Very often, photographers using artificial light are trying to create natural looking light. Then again, there are others. Do you remember David Newton? Some of his photography, if you go and find the live stream, I think it was from week 2 when David Newton was judging, go and look at Dave's stuff. There's a link to his website. Some of his stuff is, it's not natural light, and he's used it to dramatic effect. Again, there isn't an answer, do this and that will happen. What you have to do is learn to look and see light, and then it's just common sense. Okay, I want to make this area brighter than that area so it's more dramatic. Therefore, what do I need to do? I need to put a light here. I need to turn it up a bit brighter than the available light and point it at that, and then there you go. That's the thought process of photography. That's the 7 building blocks of photography. How to think any shot through. There's never, ever a single answer. I'm sorry, George. Call me Mom. What questions do I need to ask myself? Oh, you sneaky lady. What questions do I need to ask myself about an image once I've taken it to adjust the photo? Are there questions like that to ask oneself? There are loads of them. They are all in the 7 building blocks of photography. There are gazillions. But you need to begin at the beginning. Okay, that is a 7-week course. I can't just tell you now. It begins with things like, how do I want this shot to look? Right, you know how to use your camera already. What do I need to make that happen? What light do I need? How will I achieve that? What composition do I want? Where do I need to stand? What focal length do I need in order to get the shot, the field of view, the compression effect, all that kind of good stuff. Right, I've got that in place. How bright or dark do I want the shot to be? That's your exposure. Don't just do what the light meter tells you to do. The light meter can't think, right? So it's how bright or dark do I want it? That will tell you the exposure. How much depth of field do I want? All that stuff. These are the questions, and gazillions of others. And when you've taken the shot, if it doesn't work, then again, you begin all over again. What don't I like about this? Why don't I like it? How could I have changed it? What aperture could I have used to do that? How could I have... That's kind of what it looks like. It'll tell you the settings and what to do with anything. Tim Browne, in an earlier judging week, your selection. In earlier judging weeks, your selection has been different to that of the guest judges. How do you feel about their selection, and have you always eventually agreed with them? No. There's no right, there's no wrong. Remember earlier when we were talking about who likes this shot, who likes the trainers in the background. Wherever there are two human beings, there will be two different opinions. One isn't right and one isn't wrong. There is nothing to sort out. There is nothing to argue about. I have friends I'm very, very fond of and love dearly. I totally disagree with them about some things. Doesn't mean we're not friends. People get very, very hung up on opinions. We react to our opinions and thoughts as though they're real. They're not. They're just opinions and thoughts. They do not exist in reality. So there is nothing to agree on eventually. Glacier activity, do you think we have gone too far to correct for colour temperature? I kind of like the warm bulb light mixed with cold daylight at times, as in the sewing machine image. Again, glacier activity, let me read it again. Sorry guys, I read really badly. I'm just rubbish at it. It takes me ages and I get all embarrassed and flustered, so bear with me. Do you think we have gone too far to correct for colour temperature? I kind of like the warm bulb light mixed with cold daylight at times, as in the sewing machine image. Yes, you are right. This is Anne Ashburn's image, isn't it? It's about what is appropriate, because accurate isn't necessarily pleasing. This has got the warm yellow glow of a tungsten bulb, and it works for this shot so beautifully. If this was color corrected perfectly, then I don't think it would have anything of the warm, comfortable, maybe wintry, sitting by the fireside, you know, sewing, making clothes feeling that it has. Those colors are not accurate, but they're really, really deeply pleasing. They look absolutely fantastic. They really, really do. So there's no real answer. Have we gone too far? People go too far, but again, at the end of the day, there's only one person on this planet we have to please with our photography, and that is us, and us alone. Because, going back to the previous question about do you eventually agree with other people on their opinions? No, we're never all going to agree on things. What we have to do is to allow everyone else to have their opinion. If you like it, it's the best shot in the world. Print it big, chuck it on the wall and be proud and feel great. Do not post things online and in places and show people things hoping you'll get people massage your ego and say, oh, that's wonderful. Some will, some won't. You cannot please all the people all of the time. I saw something flash past in the questions which I really wanted to answer, but I think it's moved too quick and I didn't catch it. Emma, do you have any more questions to send over to me? I saw something I wanted to answer. Yeah, here we go. Here's something quite interesting. Ahmed Berbers. Where's the best place online to get my photos critiqued? We used to do photo critiques as a product, but we can't do it for nothing. At the end of the day, we have a billion things to do to run the business. We used to charge to do a full report, a 10-point report on each picture. I don't remember how much it was. It was about 35 quid to do some images and give you a proper feedback report. But the minute we started saying to people, I'm sorry guys, you all want us to critique your photos. Every time we critique a photo, there's a couple of hours gone. we're getting no work done, the business is going to collapse. So I'm sorry, if you really need it and you're serious, you're going to have to pay us a couple of quid. And the minute we did that, nobody wanted it done. So I'm sorry, Ahmed. If you would like a portfolio review, Google Estras M. Suarez. Estras Suarez, he was our first judge. Talk to Estras Suarez. He is doing portfolio reviews. Bear in mind, he is a national, he works in National Geographic. He's a Pulitzer Award-winning photographer. He's got RFK awards. He is one hell of a good photographer and a hell of a nice guy. Go find Estras. He's going to charge you for it. At the end of the day, we might be photographers, but we want to be paid for our work just like anybody else. I might be a teacher, but why shouldn't I earn a living? Why shouldn't Estras earn a living? Everybody are there many people here who would say, well, I don't see why I should be charged. Well, do you want to go to work for nothing every day? No. So just be aware, if you want something done beautifully by someone who knows, you will have to buy it, because that's how they make a living. Okay, guys, I think we've come to the end of our questions. We are at 8:30. Wow, would you imagine that? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your wonderful comments and all your wonderful questions. Thank you for all your incredible imagery and for making our photo lockdown community what it is. It's a lovely, warm, beautiful place full of really friendly, lovely people. And they are doing such a great job. I salute all of you for putting in so much effort, so much work, for having the courage to try different things, because that's all it is just trying different things. No one was born knowing how to do this. We've all been there. We've all messed it up. Little story. Photography was a hobby of mine for many, many years. I was just rubbish at it. I loved it when I got a good one. No idea how I'd done it. I could never repeat it. I might get one good one out of 10 rolls of film or something. I packed my life up. I sold everything I owned and thought, this is what I want to do. And I ended up traveling around Australia, and I hitchhiked through Africa for 8 months and all sorts of crazy things like that. Out of all those rolls of film, there's probably 8 or 10 pictures that I really, really like. And it then took a year of hard work, solid work, never stopping, a whole year, 12 months, every day. I taught myself how to do photography. It took 12 months to get to a place where I felt, yeah, it's okay. And people started paying me money to take pictures for them. Business began. First invoice, December 1993. So don't lose heart, guys. No one was born knowing this. I really, really, really salute you for putting in the effort, and it just shows in the incredible things that are going on our group and on our page. Thank you all very, very much indeed. Once again for being here. We have a guest judge next week. I'm going to stop this live broadcast in a moment and put live the next challenge. So have a look at that. It's something for you to do. Remember, don't get too hung up on what the theme is. Although it's a pretty cut and dried theme this week, we've got a really, really cool, another photojournalist judge, and this time it's a lady. Be well, take care. I so look forward to seeing you next time.